They underestimated him. They thought he was a nobody. But minutes later, they realized their biggest mistake. A bank employee refused to serve a man simply because of his appearance. They thought he wasn't worthy of having that much money, but when he pulled out one document, the entire room fell silent.
What happened next will leave you speechless.
Watch until the end to see how arrogance turns into regret, and how one simple sentence can change everything. It was a regular afternoon at a major downtown bank. Everything was running as usual until a well-dressed black man walked in with confident strides. He wore a tailored suit, a luxury watch, and carried a sleek black briefcase. As he approached the teller, a female employee barely glanced at him before putting on a cold expression.
"Sir, how can I help you?" she asked, her tone sharp.
The man smiled politely and handed her a withdrawal slip. "I'd like to withdraw my money." But the moment she saw the amount, $500,000 cash, her face changed. She looked at him with suspicion.
"Sir, are you sure this amount is correct? From your account?"
The man remained calm. "Yes. Can you process it?" Instead of proceeding, the teller leaned toward her colleague and whispered. Moments later, a sharply dressed man arrived, the bank manager. He gave the man a quick once-over before speaking in an arrogant tone.
"Sir, we can't process such a large transaction without further verification."
The man raised an eyebrow. "Verification? I provided all my identification." The manager smirked slightly as if mocking him. "You understand, right? A sum this large, we need to make sure everything is in order." Around the bank, customers started to notice. Some whispered, others exchanged judgmental looks. The man exhaled slowly. "And what exactly does this verification process involve?" The manager crossed his arms. "We need to check the source of your funds. That could take some time." The man nodded thoughtfully. Then he decided to test something. "Tell me, does this procedure apply to all customers?" The manager hesitated for a second and pointed toward a white man at another teller's counter. "You see that gentleman? He just withdrew $200,000. We verified him as well." The man nodded. "All right, then let's check."
He calmly walked over to the other teller.
"Excuse me," he said. "I just want to confirm. Did this gentleman go through the same verification process I'm experiencing right now?" The teller froze. Her eyes darted to the manager. For a split second, a look of panic crossed her face.
No, sir. His transaction was processed immediately because his account met the requirements." "Silence."
The bank manager stiffened. The teller who had served the white customer looked away, avoiding eye contact.
Jonathan smirked. "So, I'm the only one who needs extra verification."
The atmosphere in the bank shifted. The customers who had been watching idly now realized something was off. Jonathan sighed and slowly opened his briefcase. Then he pulled out a single document and placed it on the counter. His eyes met the manager's. "Funny, isn't it?" he said, voice calm but firm. "Because I own this bank."
The manager's face drained of color.
With trembling hands, he picked up the document and read it. Right there in bold letters was the name, Jonathan Carter, principal owner of the bank. The manager looked like he had just seen a ghost. The teller who had dismissed him earlier turned pale, her hand shaking. The entire bank fell silent. Some customers began whispering, others pulled out their phones to record. The manager quickly straightened up and stammered. "Mr. Carter, I sincerely apologize. This was just a misunderstanding." Jonathan didn't respond. He simply stared at him with an unreadable expression. The teller who had been rude moments ago now kept her head down, visibly shaken. Jonathan picked up his withdrawal slip.
So do I still need additional verification to access my own money?
The manager swallowed hard. No, Mr. Carter. We'll process it right away.
Now their arrogance had turned into sheer panic.
As Jonathan waited for his transaction, he looked around. Customers stared at him in shock, some in admiration, others in shame.
Someone whispered, "So he owns the bank? I thought he was just another businessman." The same people who had judged him moments ago were now silent. Jonathan took a deep breath and spoke calmly. "You know, this isn't the first time this has happened to me." Everyone listened.
Years ago, before I owned this bank, I was denied the chance to open an account. They said I wasn't credible enough.
Silence.
But look at me now. I'm standing here as the owner of this institution, and today you've reminded me of something important. People still judge others based on their appearance.
The manager and the tellers lowered their heads in shame.
After the transaction was complete, Jonathan took his money and prepared to leave. But before walking out, he turned back to the manager one last time. I hope after today you've learned one thing. Never judge someone by their skin color, because you never know who you're dealing with.
Then he walked out of the bank, calm and composed. Behind him, the employees stood frozen in regret. And for Jonathan?
This was just another reminder that the world is still full of prejudice, but in the end, the truth always wins.